I'm your host, Charise Beckett, and
I am your host, Mark Thompson.
how are you?
If you focus on what you did in the past,
To lead, transform, and shine.
this is a great collaboration. Career Transformation Academy and Queens Behind the Scenes. Mark Thompson, Charise Beckett, about to tear it up.
Welcome. I am your host or co-host, Mark Thompson, your interview expert, and I have
Charise Beckett, and welcome to Corporately Speaking, where careers meet conversation and success speaks louder than words. I am the co-host for Corporately Speaking and the host of Queen Behind the Scenes.
and I am your host with Career Transformation Academy, and here it is, two great worlds colliding, coming again for our first real discussion in Corporately Speaking, and today we're going to dig deep in a very interesting topic, I think it is, and it's called Behind the Curtain, Corporate America and the Black Experience. So, Charise, where do we start?
Oh my gosh. Okay. So there's so many topics to cover. So I would say we are actually working through talking about understanding corporate America structure, some hidden benefits and policies, challenges faced by Black professionals, leveraging resources for growth. Closing the knowledge gap is a big one. The resources and learning about corporate structures and policies and the role of transparency in creating equitable workplaces. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. Also, we're going to be in further episodes digging in deeper in some of those topics alone, because some of those are just their own thing. But we wanted to give an overview right now of like just kind of the Black experience and some of the things that Black people face in corporate America.
Yeah, there's definitely some great topics here. And as we say, great topics, we're not just saying that. We want you to be able to understand the depths and the things that not only you may go through, that we all have gone through, and we've experienced it ourselves. So, let's talk about understanding corporate America's structure. And I think one of those things and the concepts in that piece is the corporate hierarchy, the impact on career progression. And I talk about this a lot for women of color. It is very hard and difficult for women of color. It's hard and difficult for any people of color, but particularly Black women. So what do you have to say about that piece starting off?
Oh, goodness. Yes. I mean,
we get into it. I'm dropping hammers.
We are. And like, that is so deeply personal for me. Obviously, I'm a Black woman.
Yeah.
And, I think that partially because Black women are not men and they're not white. And so they're not men and they're not white. So we are like just separate from everyone. And obviously at the bottom of the food chain for some crazy reason, because I know we are the most powerful of the food chain, but we are at the bottom of the food chain, which is crazy. Yeah, which is crazy, right? But because we're not a man and because we're not white, I think that there is, number one, where do they fit in? I think stereotypes have plagued the Black woman experience in the workplace. I think the different intersections of being Black and being a woman, and then being Black being a woman, and being gay, or being Black being a woman, and being a trans woman. You know what I mean? So there are so many different experiences, and it seems to be and I don't have the answer for why, but it seems to be that as soon as it comes to Black women, it always gets so much more complicated.
It does extremely like I don't know what to do with this situation, but you know what to do with her. Whatever.
Yeah, what about me? I am still I am a person.
I know I can't. That question just jumped and skipped the whole structure because I just jumped straight into it.
You did jump, but we can talk about the corporate hierarchies, because I think that that plays a part in the corporate hierarchies, because different organizations are structured different ways. But I think that first of all, corporate hierarchy, let's be very clear. Corporate hierarchy is bred from white supremacy. Let's just put it all out there. I'm just going to say it because it is a byproduct of white supremacy, having all these layers and levels, and I'm in charge and I'm in power and blah, blah, blah.
Right.
It is definitely not even a symptom. It is definitely an outcome of white supremacy.
That makes sense. I mean, it only makes sense. And we've had to learn how to navigate that. And this is one of the things as well, when I teach people about, looking for a job and you're looking for a company that is diverse, it's like, okay, look at their leadership, look at it and what you'll see, and unfortunately you'll see, you don't see people that look like you. But if you do see a company with that, then start looking at their culture, look at their growth, look at that, and you'll see a big difference. And I love to look at things like that, and I love seeing companies who have that, because that's in their culture, that's in their mindset, and their leadership is thinking about what's important to developing great people at the company, what's important to their corporate social responsibility, but also it matters to them as well. So, and I think you want to be a part of companies like that if you got to look at that stuff instead of thinking about the money.
Well, I mean, yeah. But see, the thing about it is, and like, I agree, because I'm two things out of that. I'm always talking to, especially Black women and Black people about, these employees, what is their value proposition for you? What is the value of you being there? Not what value can you bring them? What value is it that it's going to bring you? You know what I mean? Like,
right.
What are you getting out of it? So that is like number one when we talk about, just that being in an environment and that value proposition. I always say that. I also am a big proponent of just kind of like understanding systemic barriers and cultural nuances, because those are things that happen. And we talked we talked about this golden parachute, and I brought it up to you.
Yeah. Go ahead. Tell them about it.
Okay. So I brought up to Mark. I was like, yeah, we should talk about like topics that most Black people don't really have insights into, like golden parachutes. He was like, what is that? And I'm like,
right.
Oh, you don't know what a golden parachute is? Yeah, he's one of them. He don't know.
Look, let everybody know. This is a SVP where it's on here. I've been director. I haven't gotten up there yet, but this is a SVP.
Oh, like a golden parachute is a lucrative benefit package provided to executives if their employment ends due to mergers, acquisitions, restructuring, some type of them losing their job, right? They often include bonuses, stock options, or extended health benefits. And so, okay, that's that. But who knows about it? So do I know I can ask for that? And do I know that I can ask for that before I even start the job?
Right.
So those are things that we generally don't know about. So we just walk away with a severance package and say bye-bye. And so that's it. And I got whatever. But you could be, how those commercials are, you could be entitled to,
right.
You could be walking away. You could be leaving money on the table, essentially.
Oh, yeah.
By not having the benefit of knowing. And the reason that we don't understand, and that's what I was saying, the reason that Black professionals often lack access to that information and these types of benefits, it's a mix of systemic barriers and cultural nuances. Historically, Black professionals have had fewer mentors in senior leadership roles who could share that kind of insider knowledge, right? I mean, I didn't have that. I am that for people now. Like, didn't have that, And additionally, the information isn't always transparent or consistent. And if you're not in certain circles, you might not even know to ask about it.
Do you think gatekeeping is a thing, too?
Oh, for sure. So that's for sure. And I say that especially, I think for Black people especially, because, and I don't mean to say this in a way, but it's almost like when we're smart, we're a threat. So the more knowledge, I mean, that goes back to slavery. We can't even let them read, because if they read, they're going to know, So, you know what I mean?
Right.
So that is still how things work. It's just at a different level, right? Like, so yes, there's gatekeeping, because if I let you talk to this person, they're going to know that you know more than I know. And then what's that going to do for me? It's never what I see is a scarcity mindset all the time.
Yes.
Like, don't you see that? I mean, I see a scarcity mindset. It's always like, okay, if they have, then it's going to take away from me, when there's just enough for everybody.
It is. Mindset is the key thing, I think, as an individual, but it's also the key thing for everybody as a collective. I mean, I'm not trying to put Black folks against the world, but we're, as a minority group, we don't stick together. And when it comes to trying to grow and try to build, and even thinking about from a corporate landscape, it is separation and division.
Yeah.
What we're doing right now is not normal. People don't come together with great energy and synergy to kind of build things and build bridges together so we can grow together. That is not normal. And I think we need more of it, because we should be able to see. Like we always complain, we don't see it because we're relying on people who are not comfortable with us to bring us up the ladder, and that's not the case. We need
Oh
to
my
do it
gosh.
ourselves.
We do. And I'm going to be doing a reel about this. And like today, I think I'm going to record it, but we don't. And I was literally reading a book called The Millionaire Mindset. And I got to find who it's by because I've been reading it it's been taking me a long time to read the book, but I'm looking right now. The Millionaire Mindset. And one of the points in that book was about goals, but it was about setting your goals and getting what you want out of life. And one of the things it said is you sometimes have to come to your own rescue.
Yes. Ooh.
You waiting on somebody else. And I know that for a fact based on my own experience. Like, I'm in this job and I'm going to wait for them to give me an opportunity. No, I am going to create an opportunity for myself by the knowledge and the skills that I have. I'm going to advocate for myself. I'm going to come to my rescue, because if you're waiting for somebody else to do it, that's just, you're waiting for a miracle. For real. You really are waiting for a miracle. Okay, this book is by Jason, hold on. What's his name? Jason Wimbury, Building a Millionaire Mindset. It's an extremely great book, Building a Millionaire Mindset. But it talks about, it's really big on goals and how to achieve your goals and how to have that millionaire mindset and everything. And one of the things that he says in the book, and I'm audibling it because it's just easy with my public transportation, my commute and everything. But
me too.
He said I'm audible in it, but he said, people have to come to their own rescue. And that is so real. That's so real.
When you talked about knowledge, that's learning and being able to continuously learn. Like, we're still learning right now, and that because it makes us stronger, but also gives us the business acumen at our companies and jobs so we can navigate smarter. The more we know, the more we understand, the more curiosity that we have, the more that we can apply to what we're trying to do is grow and get more leverage within the companies that we are. But not only with that, being what we're doing, we can take this outside of work and then use it in entrepreneurship. We can use it to mentor and guide other folks. This is the purpose and importance of really understanding, what opportunities are there, what free resources that your companies have that they're providing for you. Like, my company has 10,000, they have a LinkedIn access, and I can do 10,000 courses for free. I do a certification every other week just because.
I don't blame. Yeah. The funny thing is, we also have LinkedIn Learning. And so I'm always trying to dig into LinkedIn Learning I actually have a mentor that is on LinkedIn Learning she actually does classes on there, and I take all her classes. So, I love it. But I do have a question for you. What role do you see organizations like Career Transformation Academy playing in bridging that knowledge gap?
Say that one more time, because I think I just thought about 5 things at the same time.
I do the same thing, though. I said, what role do you see organizations like your organization, Career Transformation Academy, playing in bridging the knowledge gap for Black people?
You are so smart, because this is a great segue into the ERGs. Look at you. Yes. Employee resource groups. You're exactly right. I think, there are, groups for Latin Americans, LGBT communities. I just thought about it. You never see an all Caucasian group. You be like,
Well, no, because that would probably scare me.
But there are technology groups. There are, everybody has their different, Black executive networks or Black Works or Cisco. I worked at Cisco. They had Cisco Black professionals. Those groups are really great resources for people to tap into. And you'd be surprised that not everyone of color are involved in those groups. And those groups provide so much excellence to the skilling and growth in your development, not only at the company, but you as an individual. Like, I really love the one in Cisco because they do it so often. My sponsor wanted me to get involved and actually have my face out there a little bit more. But in my role at the time, I didn't have the time to do it. But I always paid attention. I always supported. I always did the events. Those resource groups really broadcast and show people the ways of mentorship, advocacy, sponsorship, things that you don't think about. And one of the big things is this also, remember what I was talking about earlier, is that the culture of your business, the leadership mindset, if they're not pouring into those ERGs, then sometimes you lose a gap. There'll still be a gap because those ERGs help close the gap into the rest of the culture of the company. So really, career transformation is good. It's good there. And then it's also good, what I would say, at the exit. So there's always going to be layoffs. And a lot of people might have been in their jobs for years. So how can you actually educate them and give them some resources, to when they leave and say, hey, we want to give this to you as an opportunity to expand your knowledge and get you into a job faster. Because some people are scared, like, man, that's the whole fear. That's the thing that you're trying to change for them about, okay, I got let go, but we're also going to give you a boost up with this type of support.
Yeah.
And it happens at all levels, It happens
Yeah.
at all levels.
It definitely does. Like, programs like Career Transformation Academy are essential because they do provide also a safe space for Black professionals and professional period to learn about corporate structures, right? And how to succeed within them, right?
So we got the golden parachutes for queens behind the scenes. That makes sense. Oh, man. You know what's crazy, though, about the golden parachutes when you think about it, like we said, we don't. I'm going back. But because
that
you
golden
said we
parachutes really blew your mind.
It feels good because I think I got something similar to that. Even as a director, I was kind of like an HR executive, but it was literally a VP, but they call it director. But there's about five, I think the top 5 ways for people to be wealthy and rich in this world. It's like investment, it's real estate, being a professional basketball player, something like that. I forgot what I forgot the other ones, but one of the major ones is corporate America.
To get rich?
Up that ladder. Yeah, because the thing is okay, if I'm a VP, and you can probably attest to this, or SVP, or even if I get to the C-suite, if you're working your way into those areas, there's a lot of smaller companies who have these positions. There's companies in the mid-level. There's Fortune 500 companies. There's a lot of companies who offer these areas. But when you come on, you can get a sign-on bonus. You can get stock, like we were talking about from the beginning.
Yeah.
And then all of that stuff, you also have deferred compensation. These are things people don't know about, So if you're getting stocks from companies, say, let me work for NVIDIA. Trust me, I'll be a millionaire.
Yeah.
It
is true. It is true. I mean, I didn't know that corporate America was on that list. That's crazy. I mean, I would have never thought that because investment is where I think yeah.
And here's 2 things. Here's 2 parallels that might connect with you. Think about how NBA, NFL, any professional player after a certain amount of years, and I try to educate people this, okay, I've been here, my contract's up. Y'all going to pay me more, or am I going to go somewhere else who's going to pay me? It's the same thing in corporate America. No longer are the days you sit somewhere for 14, 20 years and get old.
You don't, but people expect you to. So that's the thing, though. Nobody's doing that anymore. But when you work that's why it's important to understand cultures in different organizations because, right? Some organizations still operate like that. Some organizations that are archaic, I repeat, archaic, still operate that where they think that loyalty to a company, and we can talk, that's a whole other episode.
That's a whole episode.
Like, they think loyalty to a company and being there for all those years, they think that is the end all be all. When I question when people are at jobs that long because what have you learned outside of that one organization? And maybe that's all you want to learn, and that's cool. That's good for you. But what have you learned to be better? And then what's happening is some of these people end up in leadership positions where they have no business being, and now they're managing somebody from a whole different background or somebody who doesn't believe that staying in a job for 20 years. So you're with that person and you understand the ideals are completely different, and it becomes a challenging work environment because you're right. People aren't staying in jobs like that. Ain't nobody doing that because employers are not able to treat people the way that they used to. That ain't happening.
No.
So it's too much knowledge out there. And again, there are too many resources for people to be able to work in their own lane and do what they want to do by themselves on an entrepreneurial level. So people just oh, you want to play a game? Oh, I'll leave.
Yeah. And these new generations aren't playing.
At all. I admire them so much. Listen, they're my favorite people because I'm telling you, they will be like, oh, you won't. They will leave with no job. I've never seen anything like it. I'm like, I got kids. I can't be doing that. I don't know how they do it. Sometimes I'm like, is it their parents? But they will. Some of them, it's just them. And they're like, I will leave because number one, you're not going to treat me like this. Number two, I think I deserve better. And they will bounce.
They will be like, I worked on this project with you and I played second fiddle, but I believe I deserve a promotion.
Well, yeah.
Here 2 months.
2 minutes. Yeah.
That's
a whole other story. Cause I'm like, okay, well, you did do that, but you don't understand and I am not a person who believes that you got to pay your dues in that type of way. Like, we not hazing
Right.
people in work
Right.
environments no more. Like, no one's getting hazed. So I don't agree with that. But I do think that there is a level of experience and knowledge that comes with having experience, right?
Right,
Like,
right.
those experiences build knowledge. And so for me, like, yeah, you did that project, but like, that's it.
Right.
So yeah,
right.
you probably should get rewarded, but it ain't a promotion.
So that's a good way to segue into the next area. I mean, if you think about it, you know, how do we? I know there's a difference in teaching the different generations, but at the same time, we have to show them how to navigate the system. Like, what is the best way to help out with the newer generations that are coming in and having these? I don't even know if they had the same ambitions. I know when I had an ambition, it was like, okay, I want to work at this company and I want to work my way up the ladder. I don't even know what the new ambition is anymore.
Right.
Like, what is
That's why we need people to call in, because I need to understand too. I don't know. Well, and like the thing, I have young professionals. I can't stand when people call them junior professionals, and I don't think they really like that either. I have
Right.
young professionals in who I work with, and you're right. Some of them I know that they want to be the next Charise or whatever, but some of them don't want that. This is what they're
Right.
doing for right now, right? Like, I just got out of college. This is what I'm doing for right now. And so it would be, I don't know what their ambition is, but with any ambition, any of it, you have to have focus and you have to have goals and you have to have organize those goals and things like that. But
Mhm.
if their ambition is corporate, I think that this is my prediction, their experience between now and in 10 years is going to totally change because we have an aging workforce. And so
Yeah.
people in leadership, that demographic is going to change, which is going to change
Right.
the experience.
Right. And I've faced that a few times. Like you said, I've faced some companies where, the legacy, I don't call them old, I call them legacy employees, aren't going anywhere. But
Oh, no,
they
yeah.
will
I call
soon.
it the old guard. I call it the old guard. I'm
The
like,
old guard.
I do. The old guard.
Well, but I think that's where leadership comes into play because, and this is something that I don't know if it comes from the upper management or comes from the CEO to start thinking about how you really are looking at it from a cultural standpoint to teach your old guard. You now are responsible for making the younger and new and more energetic folks come in here and be a asset to this company.
Yeah.
Because and this is something that I've seen from prior companies as well, is that they will do some analysis and be like, all right, we've got people 50 plus year olds have been working here 20 some years. They aren't moving the needle as we want these, that we can actually bring in double and pay less and bring in these new blood and then get them up to speed. So what happens is the longer you stay, unless you're essential to the company, that's when they start to become what I would say, they start to change the dynamics of the company and then start offering these restructuring deals. So they kind of get a soft golden parachute because we're kind of forcing you out, but now let's also pay for your 4K. Let's give you some of this. Let's give you a benefits package of 2 years of pay and see if that doesn't kick you out a little bit easy and softer. Now, if you don't take it, you get a regular severance package. But those are strategies that I've seen from a leadership level to really usher in the new, which has been quite successful because they save money. Yeah.
Yeah. And so listen, I have some data that I want to share with our listeners, viewers, whatever, and I want to share them with you. So for young professionals, there's some work preference trends. So job mobility is one, right? Around 75% of young professionals ages 25 to 34 are open to new job opportunities, showing a strong preference for flexibility and growth over job stability. The source for that is LinkedIn Workforce Report. So that's one. So they foster this, like, I want to have a flexible work environment. And that's because people, long gone are those days of telling somebody they got to sit and you going to watch them work. Like, like,
You see how I did that?
Well, yeah, you did. Yeah, you're right. Like, look at me work. And no one's going for that anymore. And you're just never going to keep people with that type of approach and environment. Also, young professionals typically only stay in jobs for an average of 2.8 years compared to older generations who stayed longer. And that's from the Bureau of Labor Statistics.
Right. Wow.
Right? Yes. So
Wow.
that's a really important one. So remote work is another one. 73% of millennials and Gen Z prefer remote or hybrid work models over fully in the office. That was a Gallup poll 2024.
Mm-hmm.
Flexibility in work hours and location is a top priority for 80% of young professionals. That's from PwC Workforce Hopes and Fears survey.
Mm.
Yes, 62% of Gen Z professionals, 18 to 25, express interest in starting their own business someday. That's from Deloitte. Side hustles. They have side hustles. Nearly 50% of millennials are reporting that they earn supplemental income outside their primary job. That's from Bankrate. So that data, I always say to my team, data tells the story.
Right.
And what that tells me is they ain't having none of that bull junk they do that these companies are trying to influence on them. They're just not going for it because, as it shows in the data, a lot of them want to start their own thing anyway.
I always say numbers don't lie. What do you say? People lie. Numbers don't.
Numbers don't.
And if you follow the data and listen to that, I think that's why it's good to do good assessments, not anecdotal assessments. People do that all the time. They just want to talk to people and figure it out and make these educated guesses. You can't do that anymore. People are telling you what they want. Ask them, but also get the data across the board. What is it that, and this is, like I said, this is important to the whole society of thinking about the future. We think about corporate America. Are these college students, are these young folks, are even people, I mean, you got people, and I'm going to attribute this to social media, but you have people who are looking at social media going, why am I working at this job? This person is having a ball. So you start doing this comparison thing, but then you start getting these ads. Aren't you tired of your job? Would you like to get some income and make $12,000 a week? You're like, wait a minute.
Right.
Even a week?
A week?
Okay. I'm listening. So, and then some people apply on some of those things. They do their research and let you know they've started their own business and they find a way out. But the responsibility in these companies to maintain that too is valuable. To listen and seeing what the needs are. How do you keep this retention and retain some of these young folks and get people into the business? Because the old guard is going to get real old.
It's going to get real old. And that's the thing is, it's going to get
old.
It is. And so are you as an organization, if you are a business owner and you're a CEO or a founder or somebody that has an organization where you have an aging workforce, are you really setting your business up for success? Or are you using your personal biases to still lead in a manner that is outdated?
Yeah. And I'm going to tell you, I mean, your president is going to make some people rich. And if people do the right things, when I say that, I'm talking about those cryptocurrencies. I'm talking about these new things because you have to pay attention to where the government is moving. That's how the jobs are reacting. That's why layoffs happen, because they don't know. Whatever the government says, this is what they're going to double down on, then the companies have to shift because that now becomes a demand, unless you're working for the NBA. But, but we love basketball.
But see, the thing about it is though, every company is taking that DEI hit though. So like we see where they're doubling down on DEI. And so employee resource groups, what happens there? We have a lot of people. So employee resource groups are not just like, oh, we have these black. So they're framing it like we shouldn't have like area for black people or Asian people to just do, talk about. Well, it's a safe space for people to be able to be their authentic selves. And what taking away those things really does take you back to a time where there wasn't an equal playing ground. But see, it ain't going to be like the 50s. Because listen, I ain't my ancestors, okay? I'm not going to be sitting around waiting for you to create no opportunity for me. So act up if you want to. You right? Act up if you want. But that's how I feel like how the young people are like, oh, but in ERGs, I mean, it's so funny. I say this all the time. Isn't it funny how things that were meant to equal the playing ground are now being used as catalysts for racism and inequity? Yeah. It's crazy. The narrative.
It's crazy. It's crazy, and you will blow a few vessels in your brain when you think about it. It's hard to really articulate, have conversations about it. I'm pretty sure people are going to have stuff to say. What we're going to eventually start spreading out. But guess what? It's important. It's real. It happens daily. It's not like we're just pulling stuff out of thin air. These are experiences that are happening like right now, real time, and have been happening for years. So, at the end of the day, we want our people to thrive and we want you to be successful, but you have to know how to navigate. I mean, it's like the Underground Railroad corporately, which We're
For
trying
real.
to teach you how to navigate.
How to navigate. And I think
I'm Nat Turner, and this is Harriet Tubman. No.
right. But for real, the thing of it is you do. What if there wasn't a Mark and Charise, telling people,
Right.
where are people learning this stuff? Because I learned
Right.
on the job, unfortunately, right?
Right.
20-something years of learning how to navigate, which the bottom line is we always say, well, we shouldn't have to move differently than other people. Look, we different and we got to move differently. That's just
Right.
the way that works. We have to move differently to achieve the same things. And it is unfortunate, but the key is knowing how to move.
Yes. Knowing how to move. And this is something I wrote down because now I'm sitting here thinking about to put something clever together. I like to do this. So if you're working in corporate America, you're going to be put in uncomfortable situations, and you should be able to thrive in those uncomfortable situations. The thing is that your leader could also be uncomfortable with you. So how do we navigate in an uncomfortable space to make our leaders comfortable with us so that we can be a part of this system?
So it's funny you say that because it's something that I know we probably both have experienced that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And number one, what I will say is I do not advocate for anybody being somebody's teacher of how to treat people with humanity. You should have learned that with
right.
your mama. That's just not my job to teach you how to treat me humanely. If you don't know
Right.
how to do that, you clearly are just kind of not a person I really want to work with or be on your team anyway. So that's just number one right there. But being able to move in a way where your boss isn't, when they're not comfortable with you, I think you just have to be, and I say this with the utmost like sincerity, you just have to walk in and be your authentic self. And if they are uncomfortable, I will say that is their uncomfortability. I don't think you as an employee should have to tackle their being. Listen, if my very own, I said this on my podcast, literally, it's coming out on a Wednesday. I said this on Queens Behind the Scenes. I don't want to make anybody uncomfortable. But if you are uncomfortable by my very existence, that's some you shit. That ain't some me shit. You know what I'm saying? That's
your problem.
That's your problem. I shouldn't have to. But the problem with that is, and I say this, but the problem with that is their uncomfortability ends up affecting Black people negatively. And that's the part is they're in some way, it ends up affecting Black people negatively. And I don't know, I still learn from that lesson, right? I'm still on that because the only advice I usually give is I'm going in there and I'm being myself. And if me being great is a threat to you, that's some you shit. If me being great is a threat, that's you. That's on you.
You know what's crazy? I talked about this in my last podcast, and I was in an interview, and people probably going to hear me say this over and over because I love talking about my old stories. I'm a grandpa now. I'm in the category.
You're in the category.
So I went on an interview, and I asked this it was a Caucasian director, or she was a VP, and I was going for a director job, and I asked her, how does the company enforce, the culture, DEI, diversity, equity, inclusion from their leadership and down into the rest of the company? And what do you do as far as keeping them accountable? And the one thing she said to me, it was so powerful because I was like, oh, I threw my hand. I was like, well, you done got the black out of me with this conversation. She said the only way that we can make people hold people accountable or hold people accountable is to punish them when they don't do it. And they're never going to do that. And when she said that, I said, you are exactly right. Because as long as they're comfortable with who they want, and that's why you see a lot of nepotism that gets passed. It's like, people wait a minute, that's your cousin. And then you know him because y'all was in the military. So y'all you just bringing in your friends. And now your friends are running the company and y'all ain't doing nothing but getting paid. And then you leave to another company because you had this higher role. But anyway, at the end of the day, but she was like, companies have to punish managers for not following a cultural standard.
Yep.
They're never going to do that.
No, they're not. But how do you punish them? What's the punishment? What is the punishment? Because right now, you remember, there were incentives. Now, I think that that's actually getting to be, a little cliche or
Right.
So what is the punishment now, though, for for providing a culture that is toxic and not welcoming and is not inclusive. And I always say, you know what the punishment is? Not having my talent, because the punishment is not getting me. Because listen, you can run your stuff the way you want to run it, but I know what I bring to the table, and I know what value I bring to the table. If you cannot foster an environment where I can be great, I'm out.
Right.
I'm out.
We're definitely going to have to think about this, as I'm going to be educating more people about how to get jobs, is that the dynamics of recruiting are going to change, because they no longer are required to probably soon. They're required to bring in people to go. They may be like, we don't have to do that anymore.
Oh, and the thing about it is, but pay attention to that, though, because companies that want out of that, what was you in it for? Not the right reason. If you're running around talking about, oh, I ain't got to do that no more, why are you so excited that you don't have to hire no black folks no more? That's crazy.
It might be the whole saying, if it don't make dollars, it don't make sense. So we got to make it make sense somewhere. And if we can figure that out, if all black folks stop working at corporate America, they'll be like, well, we losing money.
Well, yeah, we lose the money, because the other part is that the other part of this is because a lot of organizations want people to buy a product or service. If your product or service, if the people working in your organization can't even mirror the product or service, you become not credible anyway. So your business becomes not credible anyway. But see, the one thing, and I know this to be true, the one thing that we have to stop being so, and I had to learn this myself, we have got to stop being so impressed with titles, places. I'm working for in basketball, or I'm working for professional sports. And I'm one to talk, but I'm just saying we have got to stop. We have got to stop getting impressed by those things, because some of them don't deserve us.
You know what's so valuable about that is I think that's just something cultural. We want to brag about. We want to talk about. And like I said, if you can get over that, what you will find out is there's a lot of startups. There's companies out here who are hungry and who want your talent because of you, and not because we're already a brand and we're just going to bring in our friends or bring in who we like or who we're comfortable with. There's a startup who's starting up, building, and they say, you know what? You got these years of experience. I want you to come to our team and help us build it from the start. We'll pay you. We're actually going to give you more than what you expected. And you're going to be the beginning stage of building something that is incredible. And guess what? You're going to feel more valuable. You're going to feel like you add impact to the company. And you're going to be like, wow, I can now serve. And actually what it does, it pours back into your family because you have more money. It pours back into your lifestyle because you can do more things and you can support other people and you got growth. Yes, this is what we teach. This is what you teach. We're doing it.
Yes, we're doing it. We're doing it. And that is to me like the meat of what we're going to be talking about a lot here, is like trying to navigate those things. Also, I mean, because I don't want to sit here and commiserate with people. I want to give them actual tools to be successful.
Right.
But we also can relate to some of the experiences that people have, because we, quite frankly, have unfortunately been in some of these situations, or have seen somebody as a part of it, or a friend or somebody. So, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. This is good. This is great stuff. I don't even know. We can keep going if you want to, because I know you probably answered all the questions.
We did answer questions. We did have other questions, but we do have our next episode, though, right? Like that you want to preview.
Yeah. Yeah. So the next episode we'll do, and I guess so all of this is happening as we go, and we're thinking and writing down. Before we got started, folks, we're like, what are we going to do next week?
What are we talking about?
Next week, next topic. Okay, let's figure this out. So let's make sure we get a diagram planned out, and then that way you all get the substance, you get the fruits, you get the information, and we're going to grow and we're going to get bigger and bigger. So the next topic that we have is the let me say it right, the new year, new heights. So it's still the new year, folks. I don't care. We're about to hit February or whatever. New year, new heights, breaking barriers in corporate America in 2025. So this is an important topic of discussion for all people. But man, again, the dynamics we kind of hit today, we hit a lot of it today. We're going to dig deeper into that subject next week or the week after next.
The week after next.
Just stay tuned.
Stay tuned. Stay tuned. And listen, we're refining our strategy because, it's an iterative process. We just started this and we just really want to help people. And so with the iterative process, you're going to see different nuances of our show. The more we develop, right now we're just a little baby, and we're going to grow into, we got to go through puberty and then become a full grown adult. So as long as you stick with us, you will see that happen.
Yes. And valuable nuggets will be dropped. So follow both of us right now, and then you'll see one day, corporately speaking, popping out on all platforms as well. So Career Transformation Academy at careertransformationacademy.com. TikTok is The Blueprint by CTA. And then you have Queens Behind the Scenes.
Yes, I have www.queensbehindthescenes.com. I am on YouTube at Queens Behind the Scenes. TikTok, you can catch me at Queens Behind the Scenes, QTBS 2025 and TikTok. And then on Instagram, it's so hard to find. It's Queens __behind _the_scenes. It is so hard. I'm gonna have to fix that.
It'll be in the description. We're gonna do all that. We'll put all that in the description. But yes, so all of this information is important. If you all want, a career success coach, a personal success coach, please contact Charise Beckett. She is here for you to help you with your success. Definitely, if you're trying to get in that upper level echelon, that executive, I call it executive profile, that corporate executive heavenly space. It's beautiful up there. I'm telling you, when you get up there, it's good, but it's a lot of work. But if you want to learn how to get there, please contact Charise. And if you're looking to get a job, build a job, don't know how to interview, you want to understand the foundations of Career Transformation Academy, there's a lot of stuff coming in 2025. We're actually going to add in IT support. So if you want certifications, all of that stuff, we're going to teach you that from ground up. Go to www.careertransformationacademy.com. And this is it. This is good. I'm excited.
I am too.
I'm excited. We look at God. God just
look at God. Yes.
Tuesdays, 7 p.m. Just watch out for us. We'll be dropping it. So thanks for tuning in to Corporately Speaking, where we uncover the truths of corporate life and empower your professional journey. See you soon.
See you next time.